how long have you been here?
I've been in Romania now just 20 years.
And here in Cluj or Romania?
Yes, this is my 20th years in the Reformatus Theological Institute.
Yes, and why did you choose Romania? Why the East?
Many years ago, in 1982, I had an opportunity to study music in Kecskemét in Hungary. I had a scholarship from Canada because I was a music teacher in Canada. And I stayed in Kecskemét 1.5 years. I visited Romania briefly that time, and I said I'll never go back there. It wasn't the most beautiful paradise back in 1982. So I went home early 1984 to teach music again, and I was a church organist choir director in a Presbyterian church in Canada. And then after the, say, downfall of communism, after the Ceausescu regime, I began to get curious about what is happening with the Hungarian minority in Romania.
How would you compare Canada and Romania, or the teaching system?
It's much more restricted here. There's actually less teaching time here. The exam period is much longer, and I found that a little bit difficult to get used to, that the semesters are even shorter. Now, to be honest, I wasn't a university professor in Canada. I was an elementary school teacher, so I'm kind of comparing it with the elementary school as well.
And what do you think of the people here?
I've always found the people very, very friendly, and the students have always been particularly friendly, and many of them have invited me to their homes, and that way I could get to see a lot more of the country.
How would you compare the mentality? What are the differences?
I just found here, of course, times have changed in 20 years, but I just found that people are more flexible here, and perhaps they take advantages of opportunities to do things. Sometimes I know when I'm doing concerts, if I had been doing the same concerts in Canada, I would organize it months ahead. And here sometimes I'm planning 2 weeks before, and even sometimes the day before I'm changing the program. And I found that I've had to learn to be more patient and more flexible living here.
Well, you mentioned the concerts. Could you talk about them a little bit?
Usually I do 2 concerts every year. I try to mix maybe 2 choirs, maybe a pianist, and I always have 1 or 2 opera singers from both Hungarian and Romanian opera companies. I really like to mix the professional and the amateur together. I find we can bring out the best in each other.
And how do you like teaching at the Institute?
I've really enjoyed teaching at the Institute. I've always found that the students are quite flexible as well, and sometimes timetabling is a real nightmare because many of the students now are taking other universities. And I found that in the last year or 2, I found that a real challenge. Certainly I have a mixture of levels, and we try and group the students according to their ability.
So right now, how many choirs are you?
Right now, I'm working with the male choir, which is 4-part, 2 tenor, 2 bass, and we have another choir in the Institute, which is a mixed choir, and I sometimes help with that choir, but right now I have just the male choir. At times I've had a girls' choir too. This particular semester we couldn't find a time when we could practice. But
how do you manage with the language? How much did you learn during the years?
I can speak Hungarian if I go to villages and I talk to the people, or sometimes I do little short lectures in Hungarian. I did a television interview 3 years ago for the Kolosvári TV.
And the Romanian?
I am a little ashamed to say that I have studied Romanian, but I don't progress the way I should because I don't practice enough.
Which language do you find more difficult?
Well, for me, Romanian is much more difficult. Although everybody says Hungarian should be more difficult, I find, just because of the background, the experiences, I find Romanian grammar particularly very, very difficult. I know enough to survive as fa, nem curta fa, as alma fa.
Much success and all good with you.
Thank you very much.